Hey guys, it's me, Greg. Today we're going to talk about installing the fuel sensor from the Advanced Microflight Data Acquisition Unit. When you get your fuel sensor, what will be included in the kit is this black fuel sensor. On the top of this sensor, you'll see that the quick connect is already mounted and sealed in there, and you'll notice there's 3 screw holes. Those are the 3 screw holes that you'll drill into the top of your tank or the top of your gas cap to mount this system on. On the other side of this system, you see that little yellow piece of fuel line. You'll get that piece of fuel line, and that simply attaches to the 3/8 tube that comes out of the sensor, and that's what you'll connect your fuel sensor tube to. This tube here does not come in the kit. So to save you a little bit of time, I've already gone out and figured out what this is. This is a 3/8 piece of tube. If you just walk around different stores and say you need some metal tubing or plastic tubing or rigid tubing, it's going to be hard to find. The best way is just to go to an auto parts store and either A, buy a 3/8 by 12-inch brake line. If you do that, you'll cut off the flared edges with a pipe cutter or a tubing cutter off of each side and slip the little nuts off. Or this is soft copper 3/8. Just have a guy roll it out, cut you off about a foot or so or however much you need, and you'll be good to go. The second thing that'll come in your kit is this package here, which is the O-ring. This O-ring goes onto this side of the fuel sensor and in between your tank. That's what makes the seal. And then the 3 screws. The 3 screws obviously go into the top of the fuel sensor to hold it onto the tank or your gas cap. The last thing you'll get in the kit is the wire, and that goes to your data acquisition box and then to the top of the sensor. As you can see, it has a quick connect fitting on both ends of it. So one plugs into the sensor, one plugs into the data acquisition box. When you connect this tube, it just comes in the package and you slide it on there. It's very hard to get this tube in and this tube in. You try to twist it back and forth and twist it. You know, that's really hard. What you really want to do is just kind of go like you're breaking a stick, just, you know, at right angles, left and right, and up and down. It'll slide on a lot better. Also, in your software program, when you print out the directions, you'll get a little, there'll be a piece of, or excuse me, there'll be a pattern for you to print out. This pattern is so you can lay on top of your gas cap or on top of your gas tank. So to mount this, what you want to do is, if you have a flat gas cap like this, you'll put your pattern down, and then you'll tape it in place. You'll take it over to your drill press or wherever and drill your 3 small holes for your mounting screws and the 1 larger hole for this tube. Okay, make sure that those 3 small holes are not too big, because if you waller out those holes too much, your screws are never going to attach. So what you do is once you have your holes drilled, then this piece just basically, you know, falls right down into it. Now, for right now, this tube right here is way too long. So what you would do is, let's just say, for example, if this was your hole, okay, if that was the hole that you drilled in the tank, you would put your tube all the way in like that, okay? Then you would measure the distance from here, the top of the hole here, to the bottom of the sensor there. And then when you take it out, you would cut that much off at the end, because you want the end of this tube to be just at the bottom of the tank. All right? So if you have a flat tank, you're good to go. If you have a flat gas cap, you're good to go. But unfortunately, on the Green Eagle, you have neither, at least on the new models. Your tank is round, and your gas cap is the gas cap that I just took off, is a plastic gas cap that has something sticking up. So you have a couple choices. You can either go out and buy a flat gas tank and mount it on the tank, or you can go buy a gas cap that's flat Now you're gonna have a hard time finding one at the auto stores because they all look like that cap, but you can go to a motorcycle shop, and if you go to a motorcycle shop, Harley won't fit, but I know that this one comes off of my Triumph 2010 Bonneville, and you can see it has the same threads and it has a flat top. That's a little expensive. That might be 20-25 bucks. So you can either buy the new tank, buy a new cap, and those are the easiest to mount. If you have an old tank, make sure that you've flushed the gas out of it, and then not only have you flushed the gas out of it, that you rinse it out and water it out and make sure it's well aerated so there's no fumes. You don't want to drill into that and have the thing blow up on you. But for my purpose, I'm going to use the cap that came with the Green Eagle. In order to do that, I've already sawed off the top. So if you look at this, you'll see those little holes in there. That's the vent hole. When this round thing fits on there, it's about 1.5 inches. It's going to cover up pretty much of that hole. That's what the hole looks like when you cut the top off. So you wanted to cut that top off so that it's flat. Maybe get a little sandpaper and brush it down. You will then take your pattern, you will place it on there. You want to make sure that you cover up as much of that hole as possible. The other thing is where that little you know, that section that goes across, you want to make sure that these 3 holes, you know, you keep turning this pattern around, that these 3 holes do not fall into that slot. You want to get as much away from that slot as you can. So just play with it until the hole here, you know, the main big hole is in line, but keep turning it around until the 3 little holes are not in that slot. So you'd wind up with something basically, you know, about kind of like that, where they're all straddling. So this one is going to miss it. Just keep turning it. Once you get it set, excuse me, once you get it set, tape it in place, and then go drill your holes. On the big hole, this pattern in the book actually has 2 holes, so you need to look at the bottom of this and figure out, you know, because this only has 1 hole that you're going to drill, figure out which hole this is on here, which I believe is this one right here, and mark it. Anyways, once you get it in place, then you'll drill a pilot hole through here and the small 3 screw holes. Once you get the pilot hole and those 3 small holes drilled, take this off, and then wherever your pilot hole is in there, just continue to drill it out bigger. That hole, the main hole, the big one for here, can have a little bit of room on it, a little bit of sloppiness. The 3 small holes for your screws, you don't want them real big, because if you're going through a gas tank, you don't want to strip out the screws, or if it's a plastic gas tank, you don't want to you know, make them too big or your screws aren't going to hold it on there. So to recap this, you need a flat surface, either the tank or a gas lid. If you're using the Green Eagle one, you're going to have to cut it down and make a flat surface. You can see where it's vented through here, so this round thing, when it's sitting on top, is not going to quite cover all the way, so you'll have a little gap here, so the vent coming up from here and over on this side should still vent. So you're going to, once you have your flat surface and determine where you want to put it, you're going to use your pattern, tape it in place, drill your holes. You will take the pattern off when you're done. You will take this O-ring and put it on the bottom of your fuel sensor, and then you will take the whole sensor that you've connected the tube to, and you will stick it down. You'll screw that cap in place, or if you didn't have a cap, you will stick this sensor all the way down the tank. You'll make a measurement to see where to cut the bottom off. You'll cut the bottom off using a tubing cutter, and you just keep messing with that, and then once you're done with it, you'll slide it through that hole on either your tank or your gas cap. You'll secure the 3 screws. You'll plug this end of the wire into the quick connect, that end of the wire into the quick connect of the sensor, which is right here, and you'll connect the other end of that wire up to the data box. If you've mounted it onto the tank, then you'll never have to take that wire off. If you've mounted it onto the gas cap, then every time you fill your gas up, you will have to use the quick connect to disconnect that sensor, then unscrew the gas cap, pour your gas in, and whatever. Once you have that in place the way you want it, You'll go to your software program. Basically, you'll empty your tank out. The software program will ask you to get a reading. You'll get that reading. Then you'll fill your tank up with gas. You know, put it back in there, and the software program will ask you to get that reading. You'll plug that reading in, and then you're good to go. Now, me personally, when I get the lower reading is what I'm worried about. I will probably, since that's a 5-gallon tank, I will fill my tank up with a 1 1/4 gallons of gas, which is a quarter of the tank, 1.25 gallons, and I'll use that as my reading for it's empty. So when my display says that my gas can is empty, I know I got about an hour flying time to get back where I'm going. Another thing I'll do, I may adjust that. You know, I'll look at my gauge, and you know, I might put like a half a tank in, fly for about an hour. When the thing starts telling me it's empty, I'm going to land, and I'm actually going to take and I'll measure the gas in the tank with a ruler or a yardstick and make sure, in fact, that basically I have about 1 gallon left and that the gauge is reading correctly. So I know I went a little faster this video. It's not a hard project to do. It's, you know, the critical point is a flat surface, drilling the 4 holes correctly with your pattern, you know, making sure that when you put the sensor on top, when you put those 3 screws in, you have the O-ring underneath, and you don't over tighten those screws. You don't want to strip out those little holes, and then going to the software program and putting your readings in. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Bye.